For this classics essay, let's look at the directions together. First, as we know, we have the start here, which contains the objectives for the module and so forth. Next, we did this at the very first week of the semester. Remember, you locked your classic. If you didn't already, that's no problem. You just can lock it now as long as nobody else has already selected that classic. Let's look at this together. You'll need to select one of the classics contained in these tabs. So think about what you'd like to read as far as genre goes. When you think about that, click on several. Take a look and see what titles are there. You'll find the title, you'll find the genre, and you'll find a short synopsis. If the link for any reason doesn't work, our fabulous librarians are there to help you find a free copy of whatever literature you have chosen. If you don't see anything there, click on down and look at something else that you might like. Now, after you've read your classic literature, and again there's a tutorial that shows you how to read classic literature in a way that is enjoyable and that allows you to enjoy reading whatever style that literature is written. Now we're ready for the instructions. Let's go over these together. This is going to be a 3-paragraph essay. While I understand the temptation to copy the prompt and paste it into ChatGPT or another AI source and have it create the 3 paragraphs for you, I want to remind you that the point of this assignment is to allow your brilliance to shine in 3 paragraphs. And for you to help me do that, I need for you to follow the instructions. So remember, we're going to find a title image that contains no words or a logo or a poster of any kind. So here's that example that I've showed you. This one would not work because it has words, it has a logo, it's a title page. This would work. Because the story is about Oliver Twist, this is Oliver Twist, and these are the people in the story. Let's look at how we found that title image real quickly. I typed in my title and images, and here are all these images. Now, which one do I want to select? Let's say I want the reader to be able to see what this story is in one image. This won't work because this again has the title in it and it has words. That wouldn't work. This one is kind of nice, but does that tell us anything about the characters in the story or anything? I don't think so. Let's keep scrolling down. And remember, we are only using this image for this essay, for this course. So it's not going to be published on the internet, so we don't need to worry about copyright issues. This image is great if it just didn't have the title on there. So I could go in and crop that image. That's a possibility. Because you see, this is Oliver Twist. This is obviously a person in authority. This is obviously a very distinct character. And this is kind of a naughty looking. That could work if I took off that title. Let's scroll down a little bit more. This one's kind of nice because the protagonist is in motion, running away, clearly being chased by people. That's a possibility, but it's so dark and there's so much extra content in this picture that I don't need, and I don't know. This is the one I went with because it does contain the characters. It gives a flavor for the novel. This one's kind of nice too. But anyway, it's up to you to select an image that shows the context of the piece of literature that you read. Okay, so let's go to our step-by-step instructions. First, we're going to create an EasyBib project. Let's do that together. As you can see, I clicked the plus sign and I created this title. And that means that any citations that I include here will go into the correct folder. This is where I found information about Oliver Twist. Let's see how I found that. I typed in the title and asked for a study guide, and these are perfectly fine. SparkNotes is fine. The problem is you can't quote anything from SparkNotes because it's not a legitimate source, because the content is provided by we don't know who, and we don't know who vetted the information, but it's still a good way for you to find out what information exists about that title. Now let's look at something that we could quote. Now this is a source that we can quote. It is legitimate. It is the Encyclopedia Britannica. So we know that if something is published in the Encyclopedia Britannica, it is a legitimate source. So that is why I've selected this as the item I'm going to study. I can also study SparkNotes, and as long as I add that to my works cited, I'll be fine. Let's do that one together. So I'm going to click this, and I can look at the overview and all that information and study anything I like. I won't be able to quote it, but I can study it if I like this format. All I want to do is go up here and we're going to copy this. We're going to go over to our EasyBib, create the citation, go over here, and we're going to paste that here, let it find it, and let's see what that citation looks like. SparkNotes. Okay. But let's go back and make sure that it shows the URL. It does. Okay. All right. But as you see just from the citation, this is a legitimate source. This is a nice study guide. And as long as I cite it, I'm fine. I don't like to spend my time studying things that I won't be able to quote eventually in my essay, but you do whatever you want. Let's go over here to this source that we can quote. Okay, as you know, we went through the same process where we copied this, pasted it into EasyBib, and that's where we created that citation. Now, I'm going to spend some time. I'm going to set aside some time in my day, and I'm going to read this information. And remember, if I find something that I might want to use in my essay, all I have to do is copy it, let's say I'm going to use that quote, then I would go on over to my notepad. I've created that. This will make life so easy whenever I am creating my essay, and all I have to do when I put it in there is put down where it came from. So I don't have to worry later and wonder where did I find that quote. I like to do this while I'm studying. Saves me time. Now, of course, I'm going to need to make sure I understand what words mean so I can look those things up and so forth. Because if I put it in my essay, I'm responsible for knowing what it means. Okay, now I'm going to read the rest of this. I don't need the reception. That's not part of this assignment. Okay, we don't need the popularity. A little bit about that maybe. Now let's go back over to the assignment. We've got this ready. We've read the information in Britannica, and we've read the novel using that method that I showed you in the video tutorial. And now let's go back to our instructions. One of the things that we know we need to include in the essay is the theme. So we can find that easily. To find some opinions that I can quote about the themes of the novel that I selected, I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to type in what are the themes. I can also check with the librarian and have the librarian help with resources. They're wonderful for that, and they get very excited about these kinds of projects. But look at all of the things I cannot quote. These are all websites where contributors added content, but none of them have an actual author or spokesperson that I can quote. So here's what I did for fun. I found a YouTube tutorial. I love gathering information from video tutorials. I don't know about you, but that's one of the ways I like to learn. And so let's look at that tutorial. Look here, it's a 3-minute tutorial, and it has a person's name. I can quote anything this person says in this video and I can add that to my essay. Let's see how we go ahead and document this tutorial. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go over to my EasyBib, create a citation. Now I pasted this here, but look what I can do. All it's going to do is just give me this. But look, I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to put the person's name right in here. Isn't that fantastic? I clicked edit. I added the title that is in that YouTube video. I added the person's name. There's the YouTube. I'm going to show the URL so the reader could go and check out that video if they needed to. I click update the citation, which is this little thing right here. And look there. Now we have an actual author we can quote. Clever? I know. Back to the instructions. I'm going to take notes from that tutorial, and I'm going to add them to that same notepad that I've been working on. And this time, let's just do one of those just to see real quick. I'm just going to do this real quick. There are lots of themes in Oliver Twist, and for the purposes of this essay, I only need to talk about one of them. And the one that I'm going to address is the central theme created by the author Charles Dickens, and that is poverty leads to crime. That's one of the central themes of the story. So in order to quote this speaker, I have enabled closed caption, and I can copy and paste the words that he says.
On poverty as a child, Dickens addresses this theme in Oliver Twist.
Okay. I took some of the words from the video, which I transcribed and added the gentleman's name, who is the author of this video. And then I took those words that we saw in that Britannica article overview that claims that one of Dickens' goals is the exploration of his notion that poverty leads to crime. And so I have those two quotes nestled in my own words about the theme of the novel. Watch this again as many times as you need to see how you can use that research to form the basis of your opinion, giving credit to those sources as you go. Okay, so we have the theme, we have everything noted, we have our notepad ready so that when we get ready to write the essay, that information is there. Now I get to pick one of these. Motif, the world of the story. Character development, how the character of Oliver Twist is developed, or whatever character you've read from whatever novel you've selected. Or the tone of the story. Is it dark and somber? Is it happy and glorious? The style and subtext. The symbols and foreshadowing. Or the dramatic irony, twists in the story. For this essay, for Oliver Twist, I look over this list and I think I'm going to look at symbols and foreshadowing. Now, this is important. I type into Google the item that I selected from the list. If you wanted to look at character development, instead of this, you would type in character development and include the title that you selected. If you wanted to go with motif, you would type that in there instead of this. So I'm going to go with this for our example, and I'm going to go with this website, even though there is no author for this website. But this is a reputable source, and so I'm going to go there and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. It's much quicker than you think. Remember, we're not writing a doctoral dissertation here. This is a 3-paragraph essay. So I don't need a great deal of information. I want to go down and find the information that I'm looking for. We've already done themes. I don't need this website for themes. I'm not doing characters, though I could if that's what I wanted to do. I'm doing this. Now we're going to look at the literary devices. And the one thing that we decided on, or that I decided on, is foreshadowing and irony and symbol. Okay. So all I need to do is go down here to foreshadowing. And I'm going to copy this information. I may use it later. And I'm going to take it like this, copy it. I'm going to add it to my notepad. Now, I'm not going to need all of this, but I'm going to go ahead and put where I found this. And I only need to put this. Okay. The reader knows that they can go to the works cited and see the full citation. And now I'm going to go back and find that information on this same website about symbol. I'm going to copy this, paste it into the notepad, add that information here, and now I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I create that citation in my EasyBib. Got that? I'm going to cite it. Since I quoted from this, I want to make sure that this citation is complete. SparkNotes is fine. It just shows the reader that I studied SparkNotes. Fine. I'm not quoting from it. I don't need a tremendous amount of information. But this one, let's go over here and see if we can add some information. So I did that thing again where I clicked edit, and this brought this up. Now, since there's no author, but I am quoting from this, I'm going to make sure that the title looks correct by capitalizing the first letters of the title. That's good. But it's not an author. It came from the editor. So I'm just going to add that. We have the URL. Yes, I'm going to let the author see the reader see the URL if they need to, because I'm quoting from this. So I'm going to update the citation. And now that gives it more information so that the reader can find where I quoted that information. Now I've got my research completed. Yay! And now I'm ready to create the 3 paragraphs, and I'm going to follow this step-by-step procedure. Once again, AI cannot do this. You will want to do this. This shows you exactly what to include. Paragraph number 1. These are the sentence by sentences. Sentence number 5. Sentence number 6, and so forth. Simply follow this just like a menu. Now, remember, we already found that information about the theme. And of course, the information that somebody offers about the theme may be something that I agree with, I don't agree with, I partially agree with. Part of this paragraph is going to be in my own words. What do I think? I don't care what ChatGPT thinks. I care what you think. Having read the novel yourself, having seen what the Encyclopedia Britannica has to say, looking at what SparkNotes has to say, even though you can't quote SparkNotes, you can still think about whether or not you agree with what SparkNotes has to say, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's the second paragraph. Sentence by sentence by sentence. Follow this menu distinctly. And then you have your 3 paragraphs written. You're going to use that exact formula. And then you're going to read your 3 paragraphs out loud and correct all the errors. Use present tense. Be sure to look for these tense changes and correct these errors. Submit in the tab provided as you have saved this as a PDF with your title image. Now, let's just see what happens. How I can create my final essay. First, I'm going to export all. I have all my citations completed. Export all. I'm going to do this as a Word document. You can use Google Docs as long as it's formatted correctly. And I export. There are my citations. Copy this to add to the essay that I've created using that step-by-step method. So this is an example of what the essay will look like. Name, course, date. Remember, you get the word count for the final draft, and then you have, the word count for all your drafts, and the final word count would be 2,500. Each time you revise, each time you change the words or add the words, you get credit for those words. So you want to make sure that you give yourself all that full credit. Make sure that the works cited is all double spaced and that everything is in correct order. Check everything out. Remember, I included that Spark Notes thing, even if there's not a quote in here from it. That's one thing that I studied, and if I opened it and I looked at it, it goes in my works cited. There's my title image, and I went ahead and did a little formatting of the picture where I corrected any of the... Let me just show you how to do that real quick, just in case. You just click picture format, and then you can do any of the things that you want to do to make sure that the image is big enough, but not too big, and bright enough, but not too bright. Then as soon as you're all done, then you're going to save this as a PDF by clicking PDF. And then you're ready to submit the essay.